What's up, guys? Welcome back to the REI Marketing Weekly. Josh Culler here with Culler Media. And in this interview today, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics in the world, which is content. Like, this is what I eat up alive. I love it. And this is what I spend like literally 99% of my life on is content marketing. But I got my good friend Dan Zitofsky out of Delaware, up in the cold Northeast is what we explained it as. That's what we associate it as. I was reading a book, Dan, about basically, I think you're calling it neural marketing, and the book's called Brainfluence. And they were talking about how, like, when you go to a restaurant and you're ordering something off the menu. Let's just say, for instance, it's like, ribs, and you have this, they have the steak sauce that goes on the ribs, or the barbecue sauce or whatever. But it's not just sauce. It's like whiskey barbecue sauce, or like, Tennessee whiskey barbecue. So they add those like adjectives and adverbs at the beginning of it to make it sound better. And so because of that, we're calling you the cold Northeast. And the cold is that, like, it emphasizes where you're at.
The Northeast is just boring, unless you say the cold Northeast.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a little bit of a tip for you guys. Like, add some adverbs and adjectives that like help like amp up your products.
You know what? I'm planning this global warming. Everyone's going to come snowbird up to the Northeast, to the cold Northeast.
Instead of people going south for the winter, they're going to go back up north.
All those Floridians come up north to warm
Yeah,
up.
exactly. It's a new heavens waiting room. All right, cool. So Dan, I am excited to have you on. We're going to be talking about before we jumped on the call here, we talked about what, websites was the first thing that I initially wanted you to talk about, but then you kind of converted the conversation into like, well, content, because people, they didn't want leads, but then they don't want to put content out there that actually helps supplement getting the leads and supplement the marketing that they're doing for the leads to come in order to get like good quality leads and have people know what they're talking about. And you use the word expert, and a lot of people, they'll say we're home buying experts or whatever they are. But they don't back that up by putting content out there that proves that. So again, this is a topic that I'm like obsessed with. We're going to go as long as we possibly can with this topic. But before we jump into it, Dan, do me a really good favor. And for the people that don't know who you are, introduce yourself. So who you are, what you do, how long you've been doing all that. I know you have an insane amount of things to talk about and experience. So elevator pitch, go.
Cool. Yeah, my name is Dan Zitofsky. I've been in the business 29 years now. Real estate investor. I raise capital by distressed debt from the banks and provide better than average returns for my investors with seller financing, turnkey rental. Everything I'm focused on is really passive income. I'm also a national speaker, mentor, and a coach at this point, sales trainer, life coach, that type of thing. So I appreciate you having me on. I'm looking forward to talking about such a topic that I really hold dear to my heart. It's really changed my life.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and Dan's out there. We'll give him the opportunity to talk about all this stuff that he has going on at the end of the show. So you guys make sure that you click the links in the description below. We'll link up everything that he talks about below. Any resources and any ways to connect with him will be in the description below this video. So make sure you check those out. So Dan, let's talk about it. So let's jump into this topic. Kind of give me a groundwork of why content's important and why active real estate investors need to focus on content in order to, like you mentioned, become the expert in what they're doing and actually show people and prove that and through content. So let's hear it. Give it to us.
Well, from the big overview, I could really simplify it, and then I could dig down a little deeper. Yeah. I always relate it to like a boxing match, right? Everybody comes out and they're looking for that knockout punch right away, right? And I always tell people, I said, when you build anything, when you build any business, you got to think about it as a boxing match. You got to get that jab, 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 uppercut. You come in with the uppercut once in a while. When you try to sell people too much, you really lose your audience really quick, right? So you got to give to get. And whether it's a website, whether it's a funnel, social media is huge right now. And if you have a page and you're not giving out content in that page, you're going to lose your audience really quick. They're going to start to fall off. They're not going to follow you. And that's the kind of things, like for us, we talk about in my business, it's how to build passive income or how to raise private money, right? So I don't go out there and I don't every day talk about, hey, buy my course, buy my training, get coached, do this, do that, or sell me a deal. It's, hey, if you want to learn how to raise private money, these are some of the things you should do, right? Mm-hmm. So you show them you're the expert without telling people you're the expert. And guys, this day and age of website is not where it was once before, right? You could have a website, but it's not really where it's at. I mean, this day and age, you don't need a lot. You have your phone, you can turn your phone around, you can do a Facebook Live, and you can educate people and give them so much content that they're going to be, wow, Josh, you really are an expert in what you do. I don't even have to ask you what you do. That I know what you do. And that's the difference. That's where people need to get to. And I see so little of it, but a lot of times in my groups, the people who are so successful are the ones that give a ton of content away for free. They don't have a scarcity mindset, right? So they're willing to give everything away for free, not being worried that somebody's going to steal their business. And then they get so much more business. And when I started doing that with my mentor, I started doing that years ago, and my business just blew up exponentially right now because of that, for the same reason.
Yeah, for sure. So one thing I like to tell people is that the reason why I love content marketing so much is because, and this is going to apply to like everybody, but especially you guys that are doing active investing, maybe you're doing, acquisitions. And that's one of the biggest reasons why people in this business market in the first place is to acquire properties. But like the one thing that I tell people is that content marketing, content that you have out on, yes, your websites, but your social media, Google My Business, Apple Business, and YouTube, wherever else you want to put your content that's relevant. The reason why it's so awesome is because it's like a 24-hour salesman. So like if somebody is up at 2:00 in the morning and they're searching sell my house Delaware, whatever pulls up is going to be that first initial contact with them, because they're going to see like, and if your video shows up and says, hey, we buy houses in Delaware, are you going through a pre-foreclosure and you need to figure out what you're going to do with your property like right away, you need to sell quick, and you need to sell it as is because you can't make repairs, stuff like that. If your video shows up and giving that kind of value, where you're telling people what they should or be able to do with their property at 2:00 in the morning, that means you don't got to jump on a phone call with them and build rapport as much as you would have to if they didn't see your video in the first place. Right. So I always love that. I think that's great. So Dan, for the active investor, somebody, let's get this to people that are like doing marketing for acquisitions. You know, you talked about websites already. What is some things that you would recommend to these active investors that they should be doing with content in order to be able to get results? A lot different, because like you said, not a lot of people are doing it. Everybody's doing direct mail. Everybody's doing cold calling and RVM and text messaging. No, hardly anybody's doing, I mean, my clients are doing content marketing because I'm making them do it, but that's something that not a lot of people are doing. So how can they leverage it in order to maybe bring in more leads?
Well, the best, here's where I've seen the best results, and where we've seen the best results. Video content, you just mentioned, hey, sell my house in my foreclosure in Delaware, right? For instance, if I was buying foreclosures here, where I buy in different parts of the country mostly, but if I was buying foreclosures here, I would do a video and educate people on, hey, are you going into foreclosure? Are you late on your bills? This is the process. This is what happens. People don't read, they watch videos. They look at pictures, right? So right now, video content, Facebook ads with video, YouTube ads with video, Instagram ads with video, quick 30-second videos, and it would crush it. Lead it right to a lead gen page from there, and make sure, here's the other thing, is if you can't answer those phone calls, this is what we implemented in our company. I'll tell you this, and it's helped tremendous. And I don't know why every realtor in the world doesn't do this. I'm probably going to give something out where realtors are either going to come and kiss me, or they're going to, whatever they have. But if you're a realtor and you don't answer your phone, my God, get yourself a virtual assistant. Get those phones answered, because same thing in this business. I hate when investors spend all this money and all this time trying to get a lead and send it to a voicemail.
Yep.
Have somebody answer that phone. If it's not your acquisition team, there's companies that answer it. There's a virtual assistant. But answering that phone, I looked at the numbers. I'm a KPI guy. I saw a 70% increase in sales when we actually answer the phone. So if you're doing video,
so why? I want to know why. Why did you see that increase? Like, I know you're a sales coach too. So like, why did that increase so substantially? Like from like answering the calls when they're hot and right away, as opposed to getting back to them a couple of days later? Like, why did it increase that much?
It's building a rapport. It's like sales, right? You're providing content for somebody. It's customer service and rapport. You get on that phone. The minute you answer that phone call, they're like, wow, somebody's here. You're real. You could be a one-man show, one-person show. You're real. So like I said, even if you're a realtor and you're on the road, we can expect you to answer those calls. Have somebody answering those calls for you. Mm-hmm. That's not hard to do. You can get a virtual assistant to do it. You can get an answering service to do it. Whoever it might be, get those calls answered and forward it over to you. You're spending all this time and money to do content. have it taken care of. The people on the other end of the phone, especially in the investor world, right? Our investors, they're getting, if you're sending mailers and postcards and whatever it is you're sending, they're getting 20, 30 of those a day. When I go into a house, I see a stack of those letters, right? Yep. If you don't answer the phone, they're calling the next person. Good luck trying to get back in touch with them. It's the hardest thing in the world. So now I put it in place where every single phone call must be answered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if we're not around, it bounces right. We have services where it bounces right to an answering service. So at least that call's being answered. And the person feels like they're being taken care of. And they look at you without you saying an expert. They're like, wow, these guys are experts. They're a real company. They can handle my business.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so this is a really, really good conversation that we need to stick on. So because I feel the exact same way, especially, when I was being a marketing director for the company in the Midwest, we were buying and selling properties and doing flips and rent to owns when those were hot and whatnot. A lot of times we would call these wholesalers and they would never answer their phones. And then they would call us back and like, hey, we reduced the price. And then it's like, okay, and then we go into that whole, like, why did you reduce the price and all that stuff. But I completely agree with you on that. And especially with, I work with realtors every once in a while, and I completely agree with that. But what I tell people too is that answering the phone live when it's a hot call, there's multiple benefits to that. And there's far more benefits than getting back in touch. I don't know if there's any benefits with, returning a call even an hour later or a day later or whatever. But some of the benefits on the call when you're answering a hot is that they're calling you because they're ready right then and there. There's the reason why they're calling you is because they're ready right then and there. The second thing is that when you answer the call and you actually help them live on the call right then and there when they want it, then they're associating you with really, really good customer, not just service, but experience, because customer service is reactive where customer experience is proactive. So you're already giving a good impression with them. So then when they are actually ready to sell, they're more than likely ready to go to you because everybody else did not answer their phone. And so because of that, I think that can actually be one of your best marketing tools that you could possibly do is answering the phone live like that, because it's building rapport with it. One of the key things of marketing is building rapport with your audience. And that's one way to do it. So I love that. I love that you brought that up. So then let's stay on this track. So, when it comes to sales and marketing, the relationship between the two, where is a line drawn? Like, is there like just this gray area where they overlap, or like, is there a completely like black and white, like black is marketing, white is sales? I mean, where does that all play into each other? Because I get this question a lot and I never really know how to answer it. So in your mind, what does that look like?
Because when I do sales trainings for companies, so when I talk about sales training, when you get to the point of marketing and then you get to the point of a sale, it does overlap, because what we are is we're two things. We're providing value and we're solving a problem for them, right? So you got to listen to what their hot button is. So just like picking up that call live, they're gonna, if you ask questions and you shut up and listen, they're gonna walk right into a sell, right? You don't have to do anything. You don't ever have to sell. They're going to ask you, what's the next step? How do I get started? What can you do to help me? They're going to ask you. So you're just providing a service. That's all we're doing. So we are basically, we build a rapport and we solve their problems. We never have to sell. And a great salesperson, and I've trained a lot of salespeople. I've worked at a company building a sales organization as the VP of sales. And I travel around helping sales organizations do their sales training. And building the sales team it's never selling. It's right. Listening, shutting up and listening, right? How to win friends and influence people. In the book, it says, those who talk more are like less. If you ask a question, you shut up and listen, you're going to hear somebody's hot button. If you can solve their problem with that hot button, you don't have to sell them anything. They're going to sell themselves. And I'm sure you've had that happen where you're on the phone and people, once they say to you, well, what's the next step? Well, that means they're sold. They sold themselves. Right. They believe in you. They like you, and that's all it's about. We're no greater than anybody else. It's just that we listen and we solve a problem for them. We built that rapport. That's all sales is. So it really crosses over. I think it's all marketing. I don't really think you're in sales at all.
I was just about to say that. Like, so in your mind is the best marketing or the best sales, like just good marketing? So like when you talked about some of the times you could do such good marketing where they're already sold, and a lot of times content can help you with that process. But you do such a good job with the marketing, which, guys, marketing is not just advertising. Advertising is a silo in marketing. So marketing is like an umbrella. But if you do such good marketing and they're already sold, you don't have to actually do the sale like you mentioned. So some of the best sales can be just really good marketing. Is that accurate to say it that way?
100%. 100%. It's all in marketing. Because like I said, you're not selling them anything. You're really marketing, and they're selling themselves on you. Yeah. So you build the rapport. It's marketing, building that rapport, and then believing that you could solve the problem they have, or you need to take care of their issue.
Yeah, and then following through with that solution that you can give them. that's a big piece of it.
The next part. That's
a whole nother. That's
just service.
We'll have to get you on another somebody else's podcast to talk about that. So that's great stuff, man. Hey, listen, we are at the 20-minute mark, so we're gonna have to wrap it up. But some great information that you've shared with us. So definitely appreciate everything that you have. Is there anything maybe that we talked about or that we haven't talked about yet in the marketing world for real estate investors that you want to leave us with that you think that works extremely well for you, or you've seen it work with other businesses that you want to share with my audience?
Well, yes. What's worked really well for us is doing a free, once again, give to get, right? You always have to give something to get it, right? So we've done really well with having a funnel or having a website or having something as a giveaway, right? To the market, your sphere of market that you want to hit. So if it's real estate agents, it's, hey, how do you stage your house? Let me give you a free cheat sheet on how to stage your house when you're looking to sell. It doesn't say come sell your house with me. It doesn't say hire me. It says, let me give you something. Now you're on my email list. Now I'm going to constantly hit you with content, not to sell your house, but content. When you're ready to sell, you're ultimately going to call me because you see me as the expert, right? That's what you want. That's what people want to work with, is the expert. So start thinking about how you can build either a funnel, how you can build your website, give something of value to build your list up, and stay in constant contact with them, at least on a weekly basis, at bare minimum, providing value.
That's awesome. I love that. That is absolutely incredible. I like that idea. That's something I've not really thought about. So like normally we're doing with active investors I do content for, we're doing content specifically video wise, but there's a whole nother world that you can open up into. And I think of one of my good friends, Max Keller, who's been on the show here, guys. He has a book that he has that's specifically geared towards, it's called Home to Home, which is specifically geared towards senior citizens that might be in that stage of life that they're moving to, a nursing home or a residential assisted living facility or whatever. But that's his target demographic, is he goes into those people's homes where they're getting stacks of postcards or RVMs and texts. He's handing them a book, like a 300-page book, and slaps it on their desk and like, hey, I can help you. And it's all value. There's no selling in it, and it works. So I love that. That's a great, that led me down that path.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you this, like, right. So we have the book too, right? Passive Prosperous, right?
Yeah.
The book is not, there's no selling in this book at all. You're able to get your story. Who does it hit? It hits the investors that want to invest in passive income, buy properties passively, earn passive income, or my lenders that actually want to fund my deals, right? So this kind of is my business card that gets out there to them. I don't ever ask for money. I don't ever ask somebody to buy my deal. It's like, we have a book, so we provide value. This book cost us money to do. It cost us time. All our marketing is money and time, but we want to do it because we want to put so much value into the industry to cut the noise that ultimately people are going to see us as the experts, and they're going to come to us anyway. So what Max did from, what was it called? From
Home to Home was the book.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to actually check it out myself.
Yeah, check it out. And he does franchising too. Maybe I'll get him back on the show to talk about it, but he does franchising too. And it's a really good model. But I know a lot of people that have the franchise with the book, and they're getting really good results. But that's the thing, is like, instead of handing them a postcard, hand them a book. And like, and with it, especially that's the thing that like really impresses me with that, is because he knows his audience. The audience isn't interested in, like, when they get a text message from a marketer, they just like, what is this? Like, because they're like in their 60s or 70s and they don't know. And then, they're familiar with postcards, but when they have 20 on their desk, they don't know what to do with them. But then they're really familiar with books. And so when you hand a book to a senior citizen, you're like, I wrote the book on making the transition from this house that you're in to your next phase of life. Like, that's incredible marketing. It's really good.
Awesome. That is I love hearing it. I would love to hear his results with that, because
Yeah.
that's what I try to get across to people all the time, how to market.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, he's just jabbing. All he's doing
Right.
is in a boxing match. He's jabbing, and his uppercut will come when they want to sell that house and buy a next one.
Absolutely.
You know?
100%.
And people see that. They don't look at the long term. They're in business to make money today, not next year, 30 years, and 5 years. So,
right.
Good stuff. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and again, we're talking about that's marketing. And most active investors I'm finding, they know what advertising is. They just don't know what the marketing is as a whole. They think that, everything that they do is marketing, but it's all like advertising. They're not doing anything but advertising. So
Right.
there's got to be, that's just a silo in marketing, guys. You got to understand that. So there's got to be an ebb and flow. There's got to be some balance between just advertising and actually delivering value to people and building rapport. I know it's a fast business when you're, working in acquisitions, but you got to keep it in mind when you're doing that. So, man, Dan, this has been awesome conversations. I appreciate you sharing everything that you have, and I will be having you back on to talk about some other stuff, because there's a lot of years of experience that we can, pick from when we're going through your brain.
I look forward to getting you up into the cold Northeast.
The cold Northeast. Hey, we'll make it happen during the summer or the fall. I've always wanted to go in the fall.
We're doing the fall event, so we're planning a fall event, so that's when we'll have you up here.
Let's do it.
All
well,
right,
Dan,
man.
I appreciate you being on. I want to give you the opportunity to be able to tell my audience a little bit about how they can connect with you. So whether that's a website, you mentioned your book there. I will link everything below. But website, social media, whatever, email or whatever you want them to go to. How can somebody get in contact with you if they wanted to learn more about what you got going on?
Well, they can go right to our Facebook group, not my personal page, because we keep hitting that 5,000 friends. Facebook group is Become a Real Estate Investor with Dan Zitofsky.
Awesome.
So Become a Real Estate Investor with Dan Zitofsky. For the listeners, like I said, I always like to give out something for free. So if they want to get my free cheat sheet myself, they can go to passivewealthacademy.com/42K. So passivewealthacademy.com/42K. They'll get my free cheat sheet there. They can join the group. They just got to answer the 3 questions to get in. We're really keeping that group. That's our free group. It doesn't cost anything there. But you have to answer the 3 questions that we always figure. If you can't answer 3 questions to come in, you're probably not going to provide any content or value. Right. We really don't want you in the group. Right. So that group is probably one of the best groups in this industry for what we do. It's not the biggest, a few thousand people, but it's probably the best because it's the cleanest, and people are out there to help each other, provide content, and there's no limited mindset. There's no scarcity in that group. And it's any questions you have, and that's where I pretty much put all my content now anyway.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, Dan, man, I appreciate that. I'm going to have guys, listen, go join that Facebook group. Go get this, like anything that Dan has put out, like I'm going to link it below. So you all have a very nice catalog down there to pick from. So make sure you click on those links and learn more and connect with Dan. But Dan, listen, I appreciate you being on the show today. I will have you back again soon. And
awesome.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Had a good time. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys, that is going to do it for today's episode of the REI Marketing Weekly. If you're on the newsletter, make sure that you're checking out the rest of the content. A lot of great stuff going down. If you're on the podcast, make sure you subscribe to the REI Marketing Weekly newsletter at colormedia.com/subscribe, colored spelled CULLER. And again, that will be linked in the description below. So make sure you subscribe to that newsletter. A lot of great content that's in there as well. All value-based, no selling. So check it out. And if you guys have any questions, reach out to me. Let me know if you have any questions. Josh@colormedia.com. That's going to do it. I'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.